What if death wasn't the end, but a process, a science, a sequence of steps so precise that even the gods respected it? To the ancient Egyptians, dying wasn't vanishing. It was transforming. And there was one god, one scientist of the soul, who oversaw that transformation. This is Anubis, the first mortician, the judge of truth, and the one who measured the weight of your heart. Welcome to Egypt Mythology. Anubis, the science of death. Long before Osiris ruled the underworld, before the Book of the Dead was even written, there was Anubis, Inpu, the opener of the ways. Half human, half jackal, guardian of graves. He watched the line between the living and the eternal. Why a jackal? Because jackals prowled the cemeteries, creatures who walked between death and survival. Anubis wasn't a god of decay. He was a specialist in preservation. To him, the body was a vessel, a lab instrument that could anchor the soul for eternity. That's not superstition. That's early metaphysics. The Egyptians built immortality like engineers, and Anubis was their chief scientist. Anubis taught humanity how to prepare for eternity, not with prayer, but with precision. Every cut, every wrapping, every oil had a formula. First, the organs were removed and sealed, each guarded by a deity. Then, the body was dried in natron, a natural salt, a desert chemistry that halted time. Linen by linen, word by word, the priests rebuilt the body until it became a perfect vessel. To the Egyptians, this wasn't magic, it was data. They believed the Ka, the life force, and the Ba, the personality, could only find each other again if the physical form was calibrated correctly. Anubis didn't just guide the dead, he standardized the process of eternal life. He turned death into a reproducible experiment. When the body was ready, the soul entered the hall of two truths, the ultimate test chamber. Here, Anubis stood beside Mot, goddess of truth, and weighed your heart against her feather. No bribes, no lies. Your heart's purity, your data, spoke for itself. If it was light, you passed into paradise. If it was heavy, Ammit devoured it, and you ceased to exist. But Anubis wasn't cruel. He was exact. He represented a world where morality was measurable, where truth had mass. This was the first moral algorithm in human history, written in myth, executed in ritual, and Anubis was the operator. Look closer. What the Egyptians called magic, we now call biochemistry. They understood decomposition, drying, preservation, centuries before modern anatomy. Their obsession with balance and truth? It mirrors modern physics, entropy versus order. Anubis wasn't just a god of death. He was a scientist of equilibrium, a symbol of how to keep systems stable when nature tries to tear them apart. Every wrapped body was a rebellion against decay. Every ritual was a formula to keep consciousness coherent. Death, to Anubis, wasn't an ending. It was a test of precision. Once judged, the soul began its journey through the Duat, the 12 hours of night. Demons, gates, trials, not punishments, but tests. Each stage was a calibration, stripping illusion from truth. And at every turn, Anubis watched, not to condemn, but to guide. That's why in Egyptian art, he never attacks. He observes, he measures. He ensures that every traveler finds the right frequency, the right afterlife. In a sense, he's the first data validator, the soul's quality control, the cosmic QA engineer of eternity. But here's the paradox. Anubis wasn't born a god. He was once the son of Nephthys and Osiris, conceived in secrecy and raised in the shadows. When Osiris was murdered, it was Anubis who embalmed his body, inventing mummification itself. He transformed tragedy into technology. He turned grief into geometry. And in doing so, he created the first system that could defy chaos. Anubis didn't fight death. He understood it so deeply that it stopped being his enemy. That's not just religion. That's enlightenment. The Egyptians believed that if you lived truthfully and your body was properly prepared, you could live forever. To them, that wasn't faith. It was science you could prove every dawn. The sun died every night and returned every morning. So could you. Anubis's greatest lesson wasn't about death. It was about continuity. that life and death are phases of the same experiment, that the key to immortality isn't resisting decay, it's understanding it. So when you see a jackal carved on an ancient tomb, don't think god of death, think architect of eternity. Because in the oldest science on Earth, Anubis was the first to prove you can't defeat death, but you can design around it. This was Egypt Mythology, Anubis, the science of death. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more.